reading about panic attacks and how you frame them. And rather than looking at them as something as really bad, you could frame them to look at them as if to say, well, perhaps it's the body's way of letting you know that it's ready to process all the trauma. So it's actually taking you forward to your recovery.
Yes.
And so that's why I chose to just remind, because of course it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
But just to say to myself, oh, hang on, maybe this is my body's way of telling me it's ready to deal with it, and this is going to take me forward.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and this is Well, Hello Anxiety. In a world that often moves too fast, we're here to pause, breathe, and understand anxiety together. Each episode will explore practical strategies, share honest conversations, and uncover the science behind anxiety and well-being, all while creating a space where it's okay to not be okay. Let's continue this journey together. Welcome back to part 2 of my very special conversation with Jane O'Brien. If you didn't catch last week's episode, please head back to listen there and then rejoin us here so that you can hear all of the goodness that we've been talking about. I said something in a podcast interview for somebody else's podcast recently where I was talking about the illumination often doesn't last, that we recognise, oh my gosh, I've been taking all this for granted, I couldn't do this, now I can. But then you settle back into the status quo and all of a sudden you start taking things for granted again, and that illumination that we once had that was life-changing kind of fades away. How is it that, are there any practices that you have? I mean, I guess waking up every day and just being able to breathe must just be such a beautiful reminder of gratitude.
Absolutely. Look, I start my day with gratitude. It's just a practice that I automatically do now.
Yes.
I think it just changes, sets the tone for your day, really.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a natural, and but I think also when it comes down to it, we've all got choice. We all go through things and we've all faced challenging circumstances, but we've got a choice quite often as to how we approach it.
Yeah.
And I know, reflecting back, I was very aware, when I was struggling and starting to get into a bit of a negative state, that was going to affect my physiology.
Yes.
And perhaps affect my outcome, my recovery.
Yep.
So I remember just making a choice and saying, look, I don't like the circumstances I'm in, but I've got to make the best of this situation, believe it or not.
Yes.
So how can I make the best of this? And I just asked myself little questions too. I'd say, look, even though I'm lying here and I can't do much, how can I be of service to others? Because I've thought to myself, there's no better feeling than when we can give to others. It's such a satisfying feeling. I knew, yes, I had to receive. It was a time to receive, and that comes for all of us. Yeah. But I thought surely there's some way I can still contribute, even though I'm lying here in my little glass box in ICU. And so it was amazing what started to show up.
Yes.
There was I remember a lady coming in to ICU. She'd never been in before, and she was very distressed. She's saying, I don't want to be here. I just want to die. And I really felt for her, and I thought, I need to get a message down to her. And look, I couldn't speak at the time. I was on ventilation, had a tracheostomy, but I had a little communication pad which they'd organised for me, this amazing piece of technology. It was a voice technology. So I could sort of type little messages, and I remember asking a nurse to go down just to encourage this lady. And so the nurse went down, and so I could hear this woman so distressed, and all of a sudden she paused. There was no sound, and all of a sudden then she started to laugh. And I heard her say, if that lady can still be doing okay after 60 days in ICU, do you know what? I can do this.
Oh, my gosh.
That was the last time I heard her in distress, and it was just so great because I'd hear her laughing with the staff. She made a choice.
Yes.
She made a choice as to how she was going to, and she ended up being in ICU for about a week.
Yes.
That was just amazing to think, wow,
Oh my gosh, you're extraordinary. The fact that you were lying there so incapacitated, couldn't speak, barely any energy to wiggle your toes or your fingers, and yet you were able to do that for someone else. And I hope she's listening. I hope that if you are out there that you let us know if you've heard this, because Jane was the woman that sent that message down to you. But even if you never ever cross paths again, just that the way you were thinking was not about you and what you needed. You were thinking about her and what she needed, and you felt that you could perhaps influence how she felt in that moment, and you absolutely did. And yeah, that's extraordinary, because I was thinking to myself, how can you do things for others when everybody's basically doing everything for you, and yet you found a way. Extraordinary.
Yeah, look, as I said, I knew I had to be. It was sort of like, yep, I can still be of service, but I do need to receive, and
yes,
just to be comfortable with that, because I was always used to, doing acts of service, and there's a time to say yes. Do you know what? Put my hand up. I can't do this by myself. I need the support of others. And so it was just lovely knowing I had people to step in the gap when perhaps I was at a time when I just couldn't believe. I was struggling to believe in what was possible.
Just extraordinary, Jane. It's such a lesson for all of us, and I know that this idea that doing for others makes a difference for us, you not only were able to fulfill your need to do for others and to think about how you could make a difference, the difference that you made for her, because it's very distressing. I spent a significant amount of time in ICU with my aunt in October of 2024. She ended up passing away from a stroke, but the only previous time I'd been in ICU was when my dad had can't recall the exact name of the surgery, but it was bypass surgery for his heart, and there was 5, I think, bypasses that they need to do. So maybe quintuple bypass surgery, maybe something like that. And they are really hard places to spend a lot of time. And, obviously for the person who is in the ICU, I was just a visitor. But to be able to do that for someone else in that state, it just speaks to what we can all do in our daily lives for others when we are fit and well, or even if we are struggling with our mental health, or any of the challenges that humans face, which is just a part of being human, that perhaps for someone listening, you might try that as a little experiment to compliment someone, or to do something nice for someone and lift their day, and notice how it affects you and how it can help us look outside of ourselves and away from our own needs and our own struggles, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I might just mention too, over the years, I really prioritised my mental health and put a lot of time into my self-care. It wasn't a chore for me, because I felt the benefits, and so it just became part of my routine practice to take care of myself. I'm an avid meditator. I love meditation. It was interesting. My psychologist presented the idea of doing meditation to me probably about 10 years ago. And at first he handed me a CD, and I thought, I don't know about this, I don't know whether it's for me. So I think the CD actually gathered a bit of dust, and I pulled it out and tried and thought, I don't know if I can be still, and my mind's racing. But I realised with time I just persisted and just started with 5 minutes, and it got easier. And I think having that practice as a foundation really supported me in my challenging times, so I could just escape into the stillness.
Yes.
And it really helped me. The nurses used to say, Jane's Zen in again. She's, we can't reach her at the moment. We'll just let her say. But that really did help me cope and restore calm if I was starting to feel a bit anxious. That was a really good strategy.
Tell me, thank you, Jane. I know that panic attacks and PTSD have all been part of your experience. What I'd love for you to share with our listeners, because I'd really love to hear the way you describe this, but how did the daily meditation that you were doing make a difference when you were feeling panicky, anxious, or feeling really traumatized and really overwhelmed in your nervous system and in your thinking? How were you able to translate the daily meditation to supporting you in those moments when things were just incredibly, incredibly difficult?
It was really, I guess, my escape. It was my escape into like a little retreat. I knew I had a resource there that I could tap into. So it's amazing. I think I'm so in awe of the human body. Like, we've got so many resources available to us, and a lot of them are free. You think even just the simple act of deep breathing, because I often start my meditation with some deep breathing, and that, again, it just slows you down, centers you again, brings you back into the moment. Because I think one of my challenges was I tend to jump ahead and say, oh, what if, or, into the future and think, oh, hang on, that's not going to work for me. That's just going to worsen those feelings of panic and feeling out of control.
Yeah.
So I'd really have to just remind myself to come back to the present moment. Something so simple. Sometimes I'd have to go literally moment to moment when I was really struggling. So that was very helpful. And look, I did some amazing therapy for PTSD. It was called EMDR, which stands for Eye Movement Desensitization and Reprogramming. And look, I found that absolutely amazing to think that just by watching, like what I had to do was sit with my therapist. She'd sit a couple of meters away from me and I'd have to think of a traumatic experience. I'd have to rate the emotion out of 10.
Yes.
So I'd tell her what I was feeling. And that would literally bring it, it was like reliving that trauma.
Yeah.
And then she would literally sit in front of me and just wave her finger from side to side in like an arc-like motion. And I would follow with my eyes for a couple of minutes. Then we'd stop. And then I just have a few moments just to sit and just process. And then she'd ask me how I was feeling and to recall that trauma again. And it was amazing how it would literally reduce the intensity of the emotion as we progressively work through.
Yeah.
And look, I was doing perhaps 20 minutes of that. I ended up doing about 3 sessions. And after that, I felt like it was sort of, at that time, I sort of had it all under control. But of course, it's not linear.
Yes.
And so sometimes you find with these things do creep up on you and you think, oh, I need to revisit something. Or, for instance, for a while there, which really confused me, I'd start to have panic attacks when I was getting dressed. And I thought, why am I having a panic attack when I'm putting a pair of jeans on? And I'd have to get my husband to come down and rescue me to put me in my jeans. And I'd say, I actually realised, I think with all the therapy and the time with my psychologist and doing the EMDR, I worked out that it was a feeling of being trapped. Right. And it also happened when I was in the shower. So I felt enclosed.
Yes.
And I actually could go back and think, oh, that was because of, in ICU, I felt trapped in my body.
Yes, yes.
And that was just such an enlightening moment to have a realisation about. I remember being quite excited going back to my psychologist saying, I think I've worked out the source of my panic attacks. How exciting. So that really helped. And also, I remember reading about panic attacks and how you frame them. And rather than looking at them as something as really bad, you could frame them to look at them as if to say, well, perhaps it's the body's way of letting you know that it's ready to process all the trauma. So it's actually taking you forward to your recovery.
Yes.
And so that's why I chose to just remind, because of course it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
But just to say to myself, oh, hang on, maybe this is my body's way of telling me it's ready to deal with it and this is going to take me forward.
Oh,
I found that really a very helpful strategy too.
It's a very powerful reframe, isn't it? Because you do feel like you could be dying in the moment of a panic attack. It's so overwhelming, and to be able to kind of recognise what's happening and have that ability to kind of step back from it enough to go, I know what's happening here, and that's the meditation training strengthens that ability, doesn't it, to be able to kind of be the observer, be the one that can watch what's happening rather than being so swept away in all of the symptoms. And the more anxious you get about the symptoms, the more anxious you get, and the more the panic attack kind of drags you in this sort of, this spiral to the point at which you feel like you can't breathe and that you're never going to sort of come through it. So just powerful. The self-talk is so important, isn't it? Just reminding yourself, it'll pass, and just focus on the breathing, take deep breaths, this will help, and just those reassuring words. So, I wrote a post on LinkedIn yesterday at the time of recording this, and I was talking about how powerful it is when we can get to a point with our anxiety in particular where we can stop kind of running away from it, and we can stop and we can turn around metaphorically and have a good look at it and go, well, okay, let me check you out here, right, you know. And obviously I called the podcast, well, Hello Anxiety, and when I'm speaking in schools or in workplaces about anxiety, I introduce these concepts, but it's one thing to kind of understand that, yes, if I can observe it, I can be mindful of what my experience is, I can recognise it, I know what it is. My psychologist used to say to me, it's only anxiety. And I wanted to deck him because I'm like, you don't get it. And he's like, I knew he did get it because he'd been an anxiety sufferer as well. And he was just so cool and calm because of all of his meditation. And yeah, it takes time to get there, doesn't it? But the daily meditation is that way for you to be able to recognise what's happening, and you've trained your body to be able to calm your nervous system. So it's kind of like if you were going to sprint the 100 metres at the Olympics, well, you might get to the finish line, but you're not going to do so well if you haven't done any training. It's much easier, and your body and brain know what to do when you've done that training. And so that daily meditation has obviously just been profound in...
Well, it really has been. It's, as you say, it takes time, but I find like it's literally how I start out the day along with the gratitude. Those two, they're my non-negotiables.
Yes.
They set the tone for the day, but also I find that I'm better able to cope when something unexpected does happen. I'm better able to regulate, and that's just come again with time. And look, I say to people, even just start out with a couple of minutes.
Yes.
Just invest a couple of minutes a day. It can make all the difference.
It really can. And there's so much hesitation. And I know for anyone who has an anxious, racing mind, the idea of sitting down to meditate or lying down to meditate and just to focus on the breath can just create more anxiety. And so the idea of you were using the dusty DVD to go into your Zen den when you first started, you were already meditating, but that was something that you had available to you. But there are beautiful meditations that you can listen to. Put your headphones in or on your AirPods or your headphones, and we can be guided through a meditation. So then you don't have to be at the mercy of kind of the quiet space and all of the racing thoughts. If there's something to follow, that can make it easier, can't it?
Oh, definitely. And sometimes, look, there are days where I think, oh, that wasn't as good today. Didn't quite achieve that kind of nice, relaxed state as I normally would. But I just think, oh, well, that's okay, because I've still prioritised time for myself. I'm still going to be getting a benefit.
Yes, you are. You are. So you start your day with gratitude and meditation. And how do you spend your days these days? You've got these beautiful, healthy lungs. Are you free of kind of like frequent medical tests and visits and things like that now?
So the visits are becoming less frequent.
Yes.
I probably spend, whereas I was spending 3 or 4 days a week at the hospital in the beginning. Yeah. And that's, it's all consuming at the start.
Yeah.
But I'm at the point now where I probably go every 4 to 6 weeks and have a check-in with the entire team.
Yes.
And I have to have a monthly infusion.
Yep.
So, look, it's great. I feel like I'm sort of back to I'm probably the best I've been in 15 years. I think to be able to say that, it's the best feeling. It really is.
It really, it's just extraordinary. And I know that, for you listening, if you feel like that there's not much hope left in the whatever circumstances that you're facing, I really do hope that Jane's, obviously Jane's talking about a transplant, but sometimes in life things can take a turn in a direction that's unexpected, and for you, Jane, that was like you'd probably given up all hope. Like you said, you were saying your goodbyes. How kind of full circle in that, I guess I'm here at the studio where you once were on the mic.
Oh, it really is full circle, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
It's just incredible. But look, I'm still enjoying the simple things in life, like getting out on my deck with a cuppa and a piece of chocolate. So I guess the novelty hasn't worn off.
Yes.
But I've just started to do a bit of volunteer work for a foundation that supports people like me. I thought, I just want to do something to give back, to show my appreciation for all the support I've had.
Yes.
Hopefully I can give back to others.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jane. One last question for you before we go. I wonder if you could share with us, what would you say to someone who is going through a really hard time right now, whether that's with their mental health, whether that's with their physical health or the health of someone they love? I know for me right now, my dad's health is terrible and going downhill, and so many of us are facing these challenges in our families, whether it's, a parent or a child or a friend. What would you say to someone who's going through a really hard time right now, given what you've been through?
Just want to remind people that they're not alone. They might feel alone in what they're going through, but just to reach out, and even something like this podcast, this is a community.
Yeah.
Some people might say, I don't have the friends and family to tap into, but communities like this, you can reach out to, you can feel a part of, and so just to know that, we're in this together. We're all going through different things. Your story is significant, as is mine, and we can each just walk the road together.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most...
I think that's so powerful, and it kind of brings us back to where we started, how incredibly, you were able to, when you were going through some of your darkest moments, you were able to recognise that you weren't alone in what you were going through, and also that perspective that you adopted, whereby other people have got it worse, but not many, not by much. But no, Jane, it has been so delightful talking with you, and just joyous to see how well you are, and to know how beautiful life is for you, and how you're in a place where you can do one of the things that you really love, which is to give back and support others, and that your family's all thriving, and that, good luck to Holly with her animation, because I know she's submitted it for some film festivals, and it's just been an absolute joy to have you as a guest. So thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved every moment. I have to pinch myself, actually.
Oh gosh! Oh,
lovely.
Look, honestly, I just am so glad that you connected with me. Thank you. And just before, I know that there's a really great Instagram page that we want to share with listeners, but I feel as though we don't, in life, if there's something that we would like to do, we got to ask for it. You got to ask. If you don't ask, the answer is always no, because you never asked. So therefore that door is closed. And so I know when you reached out to me to sort of share a bit about your story, and then we talked about coming on the podcast together, like, honestly, had you not done that, we wouldn't be here, and all of this community of listeners would not have had the opportunity to listen and learn, and hear about what you've been through, and learn the strategies that you use to cope. So I think it's really important for each and every one of us to think, what is something that who is someone we'd like to connect with, or is there something that we'd like to do? And take those steps and take that leap of faith, and send out that email or drop a DM for someone, and ask those questions, because you never know where it might lead. So, Jane, the Instagram page that you mentioned to me earlier, I'd love for you to share that with our listeners, because I'm sure there's listeners who'd love to jump on and take a look.
It's called Winning with Illness.
Winning with Illness. So Jane's part of that community there, and that might be a community that you'd like to join. And of course, please connect with me over on Insta as well, and share your thoughts. Jane, thanks again for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you so much, Jodi.
Thank you for sharing this time with me on Well, Hello Anxiety. Remember, understanding anxiety is the first step to managing it. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Take things one moment at a time. Focus on what you can control, and know that you are not alone on this journey. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone who might need to hear it too. I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and I'll meet you right back here next week.